How to make candles from scratch. Are you curious about learning how to make candles from scratch? Making candles is actually an easy and uncomplicated procedure, although dangerous because of the use of hot wax and flame. However, with proper care and by observing safe practices, you can make your own candles. Candles are generally made from wax, paraffin, beeswax, or other appropriate substitute. Making candles from scratch would largely depend on what you have at hand. If you raise bees for honey or have ready access to beeswax, then that could be a handy ingredient. But for others, beeswax is not easy to come by. Paraffin, however, can be sourced from candle melt, stubs, and even crayons. These are the barest ingredients you can make candles with from scratch. But be warned, remelting burned candles, especially paraffin ones, can emit noxious fumes, and the finished product will not be pretty. However, if your purpose is to recycle waste and you won't be using the candles in an enclosed space, then making candles from scratch can be a frugal and creative thing to do. 1. Gather your candle stubs and crayons. Use more candle than crayon, as the wax in crayon does not burn all that well. It is best when mixed in with paraffin so that the paraffin will even out the burning of the crayon wax. Be sure to remove all paper labels from the crayon and wicks, wick holders, and hardened impurities from the candle stubs. Put everything in a tin can. 2. You will also need to prepare white package string for the wick and a skewer to hold the wick. The string should be about 5 inches longer than the mold you're planning to use. If the string is too thin, braid 3 lengths together to make a thicker and longer lasting wick. Tie one end of the wick to the skewer. For a mold, a milk carton will do. Cut off the top part of the milk carton and keep the bottom part large enough to contain the wax when it's all melted. 3. Making candles from melted ones is best done in the open air, again because of the noxious fumes. If you're working indoors, make sure your kitchen is well ventilated and you have the range hood turned on full blast. 4. Boil water in a double boiler. Put the tin can with the wax on the top part. If you don't have a double boiler, you may use an ordinary pot large enough to contain water and the tin can to melt the wax. Put water in the pot. The level should reach only halfway up the tin can you're using to melt the wax in. Put the tin can in the middle of the boiling water. 5. Melt a small amount of wax, just enough to cover your wick. Holding the skewer, dip the wick into the tin can so that it's all covered in wax. Then put the skewer over the milk carton so that the wick hangs straight down the middle. It is best to leave an inch or so of wick lying at the bottom of the mold to make sure the wick reaches all the way to the candle's bottom. Let the wick cool down completely. 6. Melt the rest of the wax, stirring constantly until it's all melted and mixed well. Keep the flame just enough to melt the wax but not scorch it. If the temperature is too hot, the wax may catch fire. 7. When all the wax is melted, pour it into the mold, keeping the wick in the middle. Leave to cool. 8. After the candle has cooled down completely, remove the candle from the mold and trim the wick. Your candle is ready to use. With this method, you can recycle waste, make a candle with what you have available, and have something useful for your effort. Isn't it easy learning how to make candles from scratch?